5, 4, 3, 2.
The pandemic has caused a leadership crisis across the country. If you're a CEO, you want to listen up on this next show. We're going to be talking to an expert about how to become a breakthrough leader. That's next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team. And the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show. Yes, when we talk about leadership crisis across the country, we're talking about a CEO who thought he or she had it made when they were meeting physically, and now you're trying to lead a remote team. And that can be very challenging for a lot of companies. To talk about that, Oscar Benavides, he is a Vistage Chair here in Dallas-Fort Worth, and you are the CEO of Breakthrough Leaders. Thank you for coming on the show.
It's great being here, Jeff. Thank you for inviting me.
You bet. Well, let's talk about that first part, the idea of leading a remote team. I know as a Vistage Chair, you're working with a lot of CEOs. That's got to be challenging for the members of your Vistage group.
Yes, we just had a meeting a couple days ago about that, and several of our CEOs are struggling just like people are struggling. They don't know whether they should come to the office to bring people in, when to bring them in, how to do it safely, and how to really help and care for their employees who are struggling with not just the COVID, but also the economy and all the other worries these employees have. So we spend a good amount of time just working through all those. How can you do it safely? How can you bring employees back? And then how can you empathize with your employees to make sure that they know that you care about their concerns? And
compassion really comes through when I talk to you, because you told me before the show that at one point you were going to become a pastor. Is that right?
Well, yeah, I did become a pastor, and that came from my heart for youth. Just seeing the state of young people, and so I dedicated many years of my life just working with teenagers and helping them become real leaders and go to college and be successful.
And another part of what made you is your childhood. You were sharing with me off camera about your dad. Would you share that story with us?
Sure. We all have issues growing up, and mine was unique in the sense that my father was an alcoholic, and yet at the same time he made some really bad decisions that made him be in prison. And so as a teenager, having an absent father and having a lot of the stress and emotions around that really gave me shaped my heart for other kids like myself.
And you were also telling me about forgiveness and what role that played in who you are today.
Yes, I am a believer in Jesus, that He forgave me, and therefore I need to forgive others. And when I was younger, I spent a good amount of time working through forgiveness. It's not a one-time thing. It took many years to get there with my father. But then one of the things I realized, Jeff, is that, yes, I had forgiven him, but I had never apologized for my own anger and hatred and disrespect I had for my own father. And so I had to work through that emotionally, to work through all that, and then come to the place where I asked him for forgiveness. And I sat down with him and I asked him for forgiveness, and he quickly forgave me. And the burden off my shoulders was just awesome to have that place in my life where I could just be free. And forgiveness does that for you. It really sets you free from feeling a tie-in and a negative emotional bond to other people.
Yes.
He ended up passing away a few months later, and I did his funeral, and I was able to share that story about how he and I reconciled and we were okay before he passed.
Yes, and I find that so impressive, because had you not had that moment with your dad, you could have been beating yourself up for a long, long time.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that we do sometimes when we're offended is that we justify our own negative actions and our own sins and our own bad behaviors, because we say, well, they hurt me, so it's okay for me to do these things. I feel justified. And what that doesn't set you free. What sets you free is actually going, no, this was wrong. I need to admit it, and I need to apologize for it.
Well, I know part of Vistage is experience share, and probably that experience gives you a chance to have empathy with any CEO who might be dealing with some difficulty. We went on the Vistage website and we found a great video that kind of shares the Vistage experience. So let's roll that now.
One thing I found as a CEO, you can be surrounded by people that tell you everything you want to hear. And my group has always been honest, open, and critical, but supportive at the same time. Vistage is a place to validate what you've been thinking, and that is truly rare in this day and age. I owe so much to Vistage because it allowed me to be successful. With SureFlow, it was roughly at $28 million. Within 5 years, we were at $100 million. I'm the luckiest guy around.
And I think it's so important to surround yourself with truth tellers. And often what CEOs will do is they'll line up a bunch of yes men and women around them. And Vistage really allows a non-judgmental peer group who might help identify blind spots. Is that right?
You said it exactly right, Jeff. What happens is that many of the CEOs will surround themselves around people that are very talented, and they're great, but they're not at their level. And they therefore can't always give the feedback they need or to be truth tellers, like you said. So if a CEO is wanting to move forward and it's really not a good idea, a lot of their people on their team can't tell them that. So what we do is we create a safe place where CEOs of different industries, non-competing industries, come together, and they're able to tell the truth. And it's very refreshing to hear it and to be helped and say, wow, I needed to hear this. What no one else tells me, you're telling me. And so I get to coach them one-on-one, but we also get together as a group, and we're able to tell each other the truth. It's pretty strong.
That's wonderful. We've got a little video that we're going to roll, and I want you to kind of describe a typical Vistage meeting. Is there a presentation, or how does it work?
Sure. What happens is that about 8 times a year, we bring in speakers, national known speakers that are really powerful and good. They really know their stuff. And we pick them based on how good they are and what their topics are. So they could be speaking on anything professional, like how to sell your business, or how to increase sales, or how to do better marketing. Or it could be something about your own mindset and how to become healthier in your mind and how to proceed forward, maybe a diet or something in your personal life, communication, your marriage. So we're in speakers that talk about your whole self. So that happens about 8 times a year. And the other part of the meeting, the most powerful part, is where we do process issues. And Vistage has an intellectual property on this, on the process we use to help each person in our group be able to bring up an issue, an opportunity they have, and we're all able to speak into it and be able to ask the hard questions and then be able to clarify for them the steps they need to take to be successful and make good decisions.
What do you look for in a great Vistage member when you're out, talking to other CEOs?
The truth is that most CEOs and most business owners, they feel a sense of competency. I'm here because I am really good at this, but they also have a sense of insecurity. And some of them feel like frauds. Like if I can't tell people how I really feel because they'll find out that I'm weak or that I don't know everything. And so there's a lot of pressure on them. And so what we look for is people who do have that confidence, but also have a humility to say, I want to learn. I want to be able to be in a group of people that want to learn with me, and I have a space to grow. There are those who think they know it all, and those usually don't fit in real well in our group.
Well, I've met a lot of people from Vistage, and I can honestly say they're a great group of people. There's no, my company is bigger than your company. It's really kind of lift as you climb, and
Yes.
if you see a fellow Vistage member that needs some help, you're really, that's part of your creed. You're supposed to do whatever you can to help, right?
There are stories of some CEOs who have gone sick and could not do their job, and the other Vistage members had jumped in to help them run their companies while they're out for 2 or 3 months, so that they can continue growing. And so there is this collaborative attitude. We work together. We become a strong team. We do retreats to go off and really work on those relationships.
Very cool. Well, we're almost out of time, so I want you to look into that camera right there and just give some final thoughts to the CEO who might be thinking about investigating Vistage.
CEO I talked to last week said to me, the higher I go, the lonelier I get. And one of the things that we found out is that our groups that we put together really help you feel like you're not by yourself. You're not pulling it all on your own. You don't have only your ideas. You're able to bounce off ideas and really have that assurance that you're doing the right thing. And so I'm building a group here in Dallas now. I have one in Fort Worth that I have a few spots open for a few people, but definitely looking for people also here in Dallas.
Outstanding. Oscar, you've been an amazing guest. We're going to end with your website, vistage.com, and of course you can navigate to Oscar through the Vistage website. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you. It's been great being here.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.